There once lived a boy. His mother and father were always at work, so no one ever looked after him. The younger kids at school were terrified of him, because he often bullied them and even took their money. But there was one girl he tormented the most. She had pitch-black hair and the same pitch-black eyes, which earned her the nickname, Gypsy. Maybe she really was one. She had no parents, and every day an old woman, whose back was bent like a question mark, brought her to school. No one knew why the boy picked on this girl in particular. But no one stood up for her either, because she had no friends at school. Once, the boy's parents were even called to the principal's office, after he tripped the girl and made her fall, smashing her nose and bleeding all over the floor. But it didn't help. On the contrary, the boy only became crueler. One day, he even shoved the girl right in front of the old woman. And when the old woman scolded him, he only laughed, knowing she could never catch him. "Just wait," the old woman said. "I know who will punish you." That night, the boy had a dream. He and several other children were lying on a cold stone floor, tied up. The boy was terrified, though he couldn't understand why. He twisted his head, trying to see the one he could not, but he heard its heavy breathing, and a chilling, wheezing laugh. He saw a large wooden table, smeared with red and black paint. And beyond the table yawned the black mouth of a furnace, flames roaring inside. That's not paint, the boy suddenly realized. That's blood. It was a nightmare, just a nightmare, that he quickly forgot by morning. But the following night, the boy found himself in the same dream. This time, he began to guess where the blood came from, and why the fire in the furnace was burning. The whole day he stayed at home, trembling with fear. That night, he tossed and turned, afraid to fall asleep. But when he finally did, his terror grew even stronger, for at last, he saw the one who had been breathing so heavily. He was huge and grotesquely fat. His gnarled hands were covered in oozing, bleeding wounds crudely sewn shut with thick, rough stitches. His face was hidden behind a mask. But the boy instantly recognized those eyes behind it. The same pitch-black eyes he had seen in the gypsy girl. And in the old woman who came to fetch her from school. The fat man looked at the children lying tied up on the floor and began to count loudly. "People, beasts, I am none. You think this is all, and done." When the boy woke up in the morning, he quickly got dressed and ran straight to school. He knew who could save him. He would beg for forgiveness. He would plead. He waited near the school for 3 hours before it became clear that the gypsy girl wasn't coming. And that meant the old woman wasn't coming either. That night he found himself in the same dream once again. The fat man was counting his rhyme again, pointing his finger at the children lying on the floor. "People, beasts, I am none. You think this is all, and done. Sticks and stakes, the dark to keep. No one wants me, no one weeps." The whole next day the boy tried to find out where the gypsy girl and the old woman lived. But the children just stared at him, unable to understand what he was talking about. None of them knew such a girl. Even the teachers shook their heads, and the principal himself couldn't recall ever summoning the boy's parents to school. And his parents remembered nothing either. When the boy told them about his terrifying dream, they only shrugged and said, "Dreams aren't real. Nothing will happen to you." All night long, the boy lay in bed, trying not to sleep. But even with his eyes wide open, he could still hear the fat man's rhyme. "People, beasts, I am none. You think this is all, and done. Sticks and stakes, the dark to keep. No one wants me, no one weeps. Rats and worms, life's a game. I have fallen out of frame. When dawn began to break outside the window, the voice finally faded. The boy barely dragged himself out of bed. He was so tired, but he knew he had to find the gypsy girl. He had to go back to school. He had to ask the other children. Maybe someone would remember. And if no one did, he would search the whole town, ask every person, but he would find the girl and the old woman. Because now he knew who the rhyme would point to in his dream. His parents left for work. No one saw that the boy had fallen asleep sitting on his bed with one pant leg still halfway on. And even if someone had seen him, they probably couldn't have woken him up. People, beasts, I am none. You think this is all, and done? Sticks and stakes, the dark to keep. No one wants me, no one weeps. Rats and worms, life's a game. I have fallen out of frame. Light, the dawn, and silence near. You will never wake, my dear.